This is for Central or Southern Africa, the Horn of Africa, and you're all dying from famine. And this is for anybody in the world who's currently dying from famine. My president, Michael D. Higgins from Florida. He's a president of the Republic of Ireland. Went to visit Hughes recently to withhold or to witness his iniquities, his ignorances, his failures. This man is someone particularly, and not explicitly though, is antecedental and can be held responsible in his ignorance for the famine. Your families are dying. If your family is starving from famine, Michael D. Higgins is responsible, and that's why the Lord sent him down there to review his ignorance and to review the extent of his ignorance or the ramifications of his ignorance. I emailed him in year 6, approaching year 7, the halfway point of the tribulation. 7 years, you've conquest and woe, and then if nothing is done after these 7 years, you'll have famine and death for the other 7 years. It gets increasingly more difficult to turn it back. So at the halfway point is really when something's... And I gave the prophecy of Joseph approaching the end of the 7th year. So in good time, and very well-worded essays I sent, and they were utterly ignored by his staff or by himself, and they were all labelled for the attention of Michael D. Higgins. I went into much detail explaining the situation as I physically and possibly could. I rang nearly every second day. I emailed constantly. Taoiseachs as well, all ministers, departments of justice, newspapers, foreign politicians, and nothing but ignorance. But anyway, he is duly responsible for people within Ireland. He doesn't care for people in Ireland. He cares more for his Swiss bank account. And I think a lot of the politicians in Ireland care more for their buddies in Switzerland than they do for their own people. But yeah, so just would like to let you know that he's utterly responsible for this predicament. He was meant to establish Potiphar. I warned him about this. You've had the Lord subjugated in a gypsy prison for 7 years now. You're meant to realise that year 7 there were lots of blatant miracles that happened around this time, which would blatantly, suggest, without doubt, I don't know, they were just brushed over and ignored as typical in Ireland, just carry on and then pretend like nothing happened. So they did that, and they didn't, hearken with the Lord, left Joseph in the well. And, fully well worded and well warned and well prepared they were, and, they just did nothing. There's so many things trying to prevent me from doing this. So many hexes. So I'd say get him to pay, but he also has my fortune, which is a really strange and funny irony about this. They stole my holy fortune, a massive, and an obscene amount of money. Basically, it's like 1,400 times like 12 billion, something like this. Obscene amount of money. And it's funny because there's going to be loads of famine and death now on the earth, and viruses and wars and plagues and natural disasters. And it's almost like they're going to have to be using the money they stole to clean up all these disasters, where if they didn't steal it, the disasters wouldn't be happening. It's funny. These are all the people that you can hold responsible for the climate. I know you think that's silly, like are the rich countries going to pay for like the flooding in Indonesia and all this. The scarlet people, the politicians who are fornicating with my wife and coveting my ovaries, can be directly and utterly held responsible for all the catastrophes in the world. And you don't not believe that. I don't know if any courts and a special court might believe that, but they do have a lot of money. They're obscenely wealthy because they robbed my fortune. They are fornicating with my wife and my friends, my families. Hunting them. It's very scary. And they can be held utterly responsible for the climate disasters. But again, if you're asking them to pay, they're going to be paying with my money. So you have to wait till I get my holy fortune back. They have no money then, and then you can drain blood out of them or something like that. So, yes, people can be held responsible for this. Your COP27 and all this thing is pointless. And you're really annoying. Like, you're really, really annoying dealing with all this, trying to deal with all this. Even your dealings with coronavirus are really annoying to me. You're trying to deal with wokeism is really annoying to me. It's all things I like. And they're trying to make you like me without realising it. And they're trying to make you love it. They want you to love wokeism, And most people, and I agree with you, it's like, no, you're fascist fucking wokeism. Okay. I like Australians for being Australian, Put another few shrimp on the barbie there, mate. Not a cold one. I like them being themselves. I wouldn't enforce my fucking viewpoints or like and anyone in some sort of fashion, because then obviously they're going to reject it, and I don't blame them for rejecting it, but then they're accidentally rejecting the Lord. You don't know, like how just stupid and it's just frustrating this mess and this workload is when you're trying to virtually replace me or virtually have me there and just put me on the TV and let me talk about crap. Play a little fucking fiddle on a song. And I was like, oh, he's a nice, friendly, intelligent. It's so simple. It's greedy, poxy. I did no problem with Solomon. You know what I mean? And then it's like, well, why didn't you just love David then? And it's just like, your kids will have humility, like Jonathan had humility, and he saved them by confessing lordship unto David. It's just these childish grown-ups that are so poxy stubborn, like Higgins, and like a lot of them. They're just like, hey, we were here first. And it's like, no, actually, I'm the Word. I think I was here before all of you, in the beginning, and never shall be, actually. So I'll let you know, if you're ranking on time or chronology or something like that, put you back in your box, Higgins. Yeah, so it's really frustrating, and I don't blame anyone for really rejecting wokeism. And then people say you have a woke privilege and you can have whatever you want, or you can't have anything you want. I'm meant to have whatever I want because all I want is for goodness sake. If you have like a movie maker or some sort of guy, or you're like, give him everything he wants, give that man everything he needs because he's got an important job to do. Like, give whatever he needs. That's basically what Heaven said about me. He's like, give him whatever he needs because he knows exactly what's to be done. For goodness sake, and he can make the world a very good place. So I was basically given whatever I want. They take my name, my orreries, they take my privilege, and they run around doing whatever they want, and they're doing horrible murder, raping, I wouldn't tell you what they're doing. And they won't stop doing this until I get fucking saved out of the prison, Higgins. Until I just get delivered like you. And even on his website now, it's so boxy and it's frustrating. President Higgins receives, blah blah blah, receives. President Higgins receives. This is the lingo that I laid on him, that he's supposed to receive me, and have the kettle on, be excited about it. And it's so fucking annoying that he's like blatantly changed this linguistics, and it's like, oh, I understand, and I'm receiving this guy and receiving this, I'll give like malaria or cancer or AIDS or something to everybody you receive before me. I'm going to go visit Higgins in his little... he's in my property, actually. Higgins is actually living in my property. So they're all very wealthy, and they don't want to let it go. I'm standing alone. You're weighing my gold, and I'm watching you all sinking. It's pissing me off. And I know QAnon is me, Q-John. They're all my ideas. I bang on all the time about Germany not being Germany at all. That it's completely occupied by all the gypsy traders, the Swiss, the Dutch, the French, the Americans. And even Berlin was divided even again then in itself. And it really bothers me. I'd hate that. I'd hate to be German and live in Germany and to live with those gypsies all around. And you can't do anything. You can't even have a band and sing in German without them calling you a monster or something like that. It really, really, really annoys me. It gets fucking pissed me off. And then you see this kind of things happen with the a bunch of QAnon conspiracists were planning to make Germany German again. And make Germany German. And I know it's completely and utterly Q source. And that's what a Q source is. It's an orrery or something you're questioning. And they're questioning my orrery or something all the time. It's really pissing me off. Really, really pissing me off. I don't know you, I don't recognise you, I wouldn't be talking to you unless I recognise you and trust you and I was willing to confide with you. And these are all strangers now. There's a Scottish statue that they made of like a hobo Jesus. When I was homeless, probably around the time. But they've taken the face or the identity off him. They've taken his identity or face to conceal it in, and then you see him with the needle and they put it in vaccines. It wasn't to do about heroin, but people are relying on drugs and killing themselves at a great rate because of what's happening. And they put my name somehow in vaccines. I think I've told you this already. So again, this is a really frustrating workload they're doing, the big web of lies, where you just put me on poxy. Oh my god, like, I don't even want to go on your poxy televisions. I don't want to be recognised as a hermetic philosopher. Great advice when I was a kid to stay below the radar and not draw attention to yourself in life. I was having a wonderful life in my celibacy and my hermitage and my studies before all this crap happened. But your next little gypsy fucking trader man family wanted their